Welcome back to Tower of the Planets. Today we're going to be building floor 3, which is Venus, the Bringer of Peace. This floor is the only one I've built so far that I've already made the OST song for it. It's in 2 movements, which is basically like 2 mini songs that go together. The first movement is slow and peaceful for side A of the floor, where you'll have no jump and slow walk speed, similar to the beginning of Citadel of the Infinite Abyss. Movement 1 is inspired by the actual Venus movement in Gustav Holst's The Planet Suite, but mine also foreshadows the second movement, which is much more fast and chaotic. If you go on to enjoy this video, please subscribe because we're so close to 3,000 subscribers. And please comment some questions for the 3,000 subscriber Q&A video, either on this video or on the community post linked in the pinned comment. So yeah, this floor is going to be in 2 sides, although it's not going to be as clearly defined as this is side A and this is side B like it was for Mercury. You'll see what I mean. But first, let's begin by building the terrain, which I'm actually going to use parts this time, which is actually going to be better than using the terrain tool, I feel like, for what I'm about to do, which you're about to see. Basically, this floor is going to be like a valley kind of thing, and so side A is going to be in the valley, and side B will be not. So I'll get the very basic shape first. So here's the sides. It's gonna need a floor thing, and then we'll need the space up here. Actually, I can make it a slightly different height for some variation, which is of course exactly what I need when building terrain. Okay, so this is 226 studs long like that. If I go to play here, we can get a better idea of how much that really is. I mean, it's the length of 2 floors. This might seem way too much, but what I'm going to do is put invisible parts, maybe here and here. That way, you don't see this edge over here, and you won't go past that point. I mean, you could just look at it, I guess, but there's going to be a fog end, so you won't be able to. So I guess figuring that out should be the next thing I do. Okay, so I changed various settings here. I changed the ambient, I changed the fog end and fog start, and fog color, and set clock time to 12 and brightness to 3. Now fog end, that's going to be really important here, but it wasn't working because if we go to lighting, there was another object here called atmosphere. If I just add that, yeah, you kind of see it does that. It was to a lesser extent though before. Here's what it looked like before. And without it, it looks like this. This does kind of look worse, but that's okay because there's a whole bunch of lighting settings I'm going to change eventually, so it's fine for now. So if we go to lighting, there's the fog end properties and fog start and fog color. These just aren't there if there's an atmosphere object in lighting, so I had to remove it. That also meant the other lighting changers earlier in the tower, such as the one here, would now have a fog end. So what I did was I went to all of those for their lighting configuration and just set it to 100,000 and 0, which is what it is by default in game.lighting. So this is what this is going to look like, minus that. If I look like this, yeah, this is what it's going to look like. Very epic. Okay, so I put a part here that is the color of the fog color and neon, but because it's neon, I think it's going to be brighter. I mean, there's weird things that make it look like the color is a different color than what it actually is. Okay, yes, that is definitely not the color I want. So yes, it does make it brighter because it's neon, but if I set it to instead smooth plastic, that should fix the problem. Okay, there we go. Now I just want to determine how many studs away it is. I guess I should go in first person for this to work the best. Yeah, about this far away is as close as I want you to get to the edge of that. Maybe a little bit further back. Let me go to click this button, which will take me to server view, and since the game is running, when I stop running it, anything I am about to add, it'll just not be there anymore. But I'm just gonna add a temporary part here and do that, and then see how long that is. 81 studs. We'll round it to 80. So now if I can stop the game, it will go back to here. So I'm just gonna duplicate this part, set my move snap to grid to 80, and do that. Okay, well, putting these things here, which will be made invisible, that's way not enough space. So, okay, what if it's not that bad if you can see the edge of it, I guess. We'll go 40 more studs. That should be a lot better. But now I'm going to make these be transparency 1, and they should be can collide true, which they are. So this is what that's going to look like. I think that works. Like I said, side A is going to be in the valley here, and then side B will be on top of it. You'll probably go across it a couple times or something. We'll see. So then what am I going to do about the side here? Well, I'm going to make it be actually part of the terrain. So basically, I just put a wall here, but it's not those things. I can't English, apparently. Yeah, so this is going to be the box that this entire floor is in. And now temporarily, I'm going to make these be invisible, and I'm going to duplicate one of these and put it right there temporarily, and then select all these parts and make it a much less saturated color, so it's less annoying to look at for the next 30 minutes or however long this video is, even longer for me building it. But I've saved the color by putting that there. And this color is fine for playing through it, since it's only going to last a couple minutes instead of 30. Okay, now comes the part where I have to build natural-looking terrain with parts, and you never realize how difficult it is to build natural-looking terrain with parts until you try to build natural-looking terrain with parts. Well, maybe just putting, like, less parts than I might think at first would be good. Like, maybe I can do something like this, then maybe, like, rotate that, and then, like, position it like this. There we go. That looks pretty good already. And that used only 2 parts and took about 30 seconds to make. And let's see, I can duplicate the floor and move it up a stud and then, like, you know, rotate it a little bit. Actually, let's go the other way so it contrasts the way this one is rotated. Maybe another stud here, and then just extend this as long as it will go until it's, like, past that point. Well, I suppose when it comes to rocks, it's, like, looks detailed with only, like, 2 parts, which is good. I mean, I can add more if I wanted to, but yeah. So basically, I'm just going to repeat this for this whole area, including up here, until it looks good. Alright, now that improves the scenery. I mentioned earlier that movement 1 of the OST for this floor foreshadows movement 2. Take a listen to the opening measures of movement 2. This is based on the blues scale, which sounds like this. It's a key part of movement 2, and to foreshadow it in movement 1, I hid the blues scale throughout it. There are several examples, but if you listen to this part of movement 1 about 3/4 of the way through, the melody is the fanfare thing, but if you listen to the other parts, you'll hear the descending blues scale. Similarly, I would like Venus Side A to foreshadow Venus Side B in the tower. For the OST, that was much easier to do given that I actually composed movement 2 first, so likewise I'm going to build Venus Side B first. The question is, what's going to be foreshadowed? Well, for that to work the best, it needs to be some sort of recurring theme or idea throughout Side B, as was the case with the blues scale in movement 2. So we need to decide what that's going to be here. It's probably going to be some sort of client object. Here's what I came up with. This will be the repeating theme throughout Side B. It's basically 5 beat blocks changing very quickly with this kill brick above there that prevents you from, like, jumping. I mean, there are still ways, like, you can still jump kind of like that, like, yeah, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to just walk straight across them. It works best going sideways. Now, you're probably thinking I just set that to be some fast time, but no, there's going to be complicated calculations, of course. Well, to change how fast these change, you need to go to toggle time and then change this to however fast you want to do that in seconds. Now, 0.36 is derived from the tempo marking of Venus Movement 2. What's 168 beats per minute, which is 168 beats every 60 seconds, or 2.8 beats every 1 second, or 1 beat every 1 over 2.8 seconds, or 1 beat every approximately 0.36 seconds. Yeah, just that 1 over 2.8 is like a number I'd have to round. But it's not that much of a problem because this isn't going to be synced exactly with the tempo of the music anyway. I mean, it might, but it also might not. It depends on when you, like, press the music changer thing. But it should be close enough that, I mean, unless you stare at it for a long time, you won't really notice. You also may not even notice that it's in time with the music, who knows. And I guess it's worth mentioning that the only reason that'll, like, work throughout the whole song is because there are no tempo changes throughout it. So you're going to start on this side of the valley, and so the first one of these is going to be, like, the first thing you do here, which I guess makes sense because the very first thing in Movement 2 is the main theme. Well, actually, this isn't going to be the very first thing. You're going to climb up a truss and go onto a platform first. This will be lined up with this. There's 4 studs there, there's 5 studs there, so I just need to move it over 0.5, and it should be lined up. Then just move this back down here. That looks a bit weird though, so let me just move that over to fix that. There we go. Side 1 will end, probably you'll, like, climb up a truss or something to get on top of here, and then you'll go straight over here. There'll be arrows or something to direct you. So what you do is wait for it to be on, like, the last one, and then you'd walk across like that. And conveniently, that seems to be, like, pretty much the exact speed you walk at, which is very nice. Now, many people were saying there's way too many signs in this tower. Well, too bad, because there's about to be another one. It's not going to be a super long paragraph, though. It's going to be 2 words, don't jump, and an arrow pointing that way, so, like, you know I'm talking about that direction. Well, I did try and fix the problem a little bit, like the sign here, instead of being, like, 50 paragraphs telling you what to do. Okay, it was like 2 long sentences. Well, now it's just 1 short sentence. That actually gives you less information, but there's this arrow here telling you to go this way. So, like, you'll be able to figure it out, I feel like. Oh yeah, I also got rid of the one there saying that these are ice platforms and these are trip parts. Instead, just right here, I, like, put 2 of them and labeled them. So you're going to see this several times throughout the floor, and probably just stuff in between to break it up. Okay, I've built some more. There's some conveyor launches to get across the valley, And then you have some more parkour over here, including, of course, more of these things. It's definitely worth checking every now and then, checking how long this is. That way I can know how much more I need to build. Also, I didn't mention this yet, but this is actually going to be a timed section too. It'll be about as long as the song is, I suppose. The song is 1 minute and 37 seconds, so it should maybe take you like a minute to complete the floor. Okay, took a couple attempts, but to get to right there, that took about 38 seconds, and there weren't really any fails in that run. I mean, I cut it all out, but yeah. So that maybe gives like 20, 30 more seconds worth of parkour I should add, so I think it would work well to go back across the valley, and then maybe like up this way. Yeah, like I think there's enough parkour on this side, so like if we go back around and add some more like here, that would be nice. So movement 2, it uses a lot of dissonance in tritones and minor seconds, and it uses the C Lydian like triad, where it's the root, sharp 4, and 5, which has both of those dissonant intervals. So yeah, this is a very crunchy chord. On their own, these intervals don't sound very good, but you know, the way I use them here, that's kind of the point, that they sound like that, and I'm using that as part of the music here. Something I think is similar to those dissonant intervals, but visually, is Z fighting. So we're going to use that as decoration. I'll try my best to make it look clearly intentional though. So I'm going to take a part and make it red, and then take another part, rotate it 45 degrees, and make it orange. Then I'll also select both of those and group them together. You know, may as well keep some things organized where I can. I'll rename it Z Fighting Platform. To group them, I press Ctrl-G, by the way. Oh, and I also want those to be Can Collide False, too. And rotated like that. Perhaps this can be like another recurring theme kind of thing that's foreshadowed inside A. And the next thing I want to do. So this is going to be timed, right? But there's not going to be any like button you can go back and press to like reset the timer if you fall. What I'm instead going to do about that is there's going to be like buttons or teleporters that activate every few jumps, so that if you fall, it'll only cost you a couple seconds. So this one, that's just the start. So like if you fall during this, you'll just climb back up this truss and try again. Here there's going to be a teleporter underneath here. I don't feel like doing that one right now though. But we'll have the next button be here. So how I'm going to make this is I'm going to take a button, delete the base, and take the button itself and delete all these. So the decals and the sound. And I'm going to make it transparency 1, Can Collide False, and position it right on this platform so it's impossible not to hit it. Then I'm going to take a truss called button activated platform with full hide, and I want the color of this truss to be the same color as these. So just copy and paste that onto the button, not that you can see it, and onto here. Then just put the truss where I want it to go. If I go play here, it should be invisible at first until I press the button. Indeed it is, and when I press the button, it appears here. Nice. So because this is right next to the invisible barrier, I want to make sure you go on this side, so I just made this one be like way more studs than is possible. But this one is 4 studs, and that's like a catastrophic difficulty jump, so I don't want to put that there. What I'm going to do is actually make this be impossible by putting an invisible platform. It'll go right there, and so it's you're gonna miss the jump because that's not possible to make that stick out wraparound. And so now I want to take the button platform and put it just beneath here, like to where you'll only press it when you fall. But it also needs to be high enough off the ground where you can't jump to it ahead of time. So let me actually select this whole thing and move it up. This button is going to activate these platforms, so it's like you'll miss the jump, and then they'll activate, so it's like you just go back up there. So it's like a troll. So it's like, oh no, there's a 4 stud stick out, I hope I don't miss it. Aww, oh wait, yay. Yay! Okay, just finished the rest of side B. But I put in the teleporters here. Well, first question, is there any way to make a teleporter that only works after you press a button, but it remains invisible all the time? I sort of found a workaround for that here, so that you can't just like walk over here and jump on this teleporter and skip all the way over there. I put this wall here, which is deactivated by the same button that activates this, so that if you fall during this section, you can get back up to here. That way there's no way to get to this teleporter like early. The problem is I had to make this thing be force field material because like even if I set it to transparency 1, when I run the game it'll make it transparency 0. So question 2 is there any way to make a button deactivated platform be completely invisible both before and after you press the button? And actually, I did notice this thing will teleport you here, so in theory, you could skip over this. Really prefer that to be like button activated or something, but for now, I think I'm going to have to make this teleport you like here. And I just timed side B as well. It'll take about a minute on a relatively flawless run. But you'll have like a minute and a half, so yeah, that should work well. Now it's time to begin work on side A. As you play through this, there's not going to be a time limit, however, I would still like it to take about the amount of time that the Movement 1 song lasts, which is 2 minutes, 14 seconds. Now actually, I don't have to put this right here. The yellow thing I have selected isn't the teleporter destination, it's the lighting changer. The teleporter destination is over there at the moment. But it will be where these are, but I do actually want to move them. And because of the slow walk speed, it's going to like take longer to go between 2 points. So I think given the 1.5 to 2 minutes I want this side to take, it'll work well if you start here and then like maybe go around this way up to here. Also for the platforms here that aren't supposed to be part of the terrain, I'm going to make them be less saturated colors as they are up there, since it's more peaceful looking, I guess. They're still going to be warm colors though, that way it all like is in the same color palette, I guess. So like red, orange, yellow and stuff. If I go with like that color, I can change the saturation easily by just changing that value. This will work pretty well. It does look kind of similar to the color of this, but remember that that's going to be changed to this color later, which is a pretty saturated color, so maybe this is kind of pointless to do that, but whatever. So you'd use this push box, just pretend I'm walking slower and didn't just jump there, but you'd position it like right there, and then you'd walk across here. Actually, those colors are too similar. They, like, clash. I'll use that color for something else, though, so I'll just put that over there temporarily. And instead of making these like a yellow, I'll make them like a red. Let's go with that color. Here we have a 3-stud ledge, which you can't get up without jumping, unless you use /E here. This you may remember from, in fact, the very first jump, I guess. You're not jumping, though, of the tower. You're supposed to do that. This sign here on floor 1 explains in detail how you do that, but by this point you've already read that sign, unless you're like practicing the tower or something. But yeah, you need to like walk into the wall and then turn your camera around like that, type /E here, and then press Shift and S at the same time. Upon further consideration, I'm actually going to move this closer to right here, because there's kind of no point in making you walk all that distance for no reason. But what I could have done if I'd have kept it over there is put like a conveyor or something, that way you can go faster. I think I'll just put some of those like occasionally throughout the floor, not that they'll really make much of a difference, but you know, they add a little bit, which I guess is nice. These I'm going to make be what's currently the color of the terrain, which the terrain is later going to be this color, so it's not going to look exactly like it. But yeah, I think that should be good, but I do want to make this much slower though. Let's make it like 10. Okay, I've built some more parkour here, and so you'll go into this cave here, and currently there's nothing here, but there will be momentarily. And then over here, there's a sign. But like, would you rather have nothing explaining how you're supposed to do this? Go into climbing animation on the edge of the platform, then go out of shift lock and face this sign, then press Shift and A at the same time. Because if you just walk across here, you're not going to be able to make that. So instead you have to basically do like a shift and space ladder flick, but without space. Now inside this cave, there's going to be the foreshadowing of these things. Here it says don't jump, not because your jump power is 0, but because you'll hit your head on this thing and then like not make the jump properly. Down here though, you can't jump. So basically, I'm going to fill this space with like 1x3 beat blocks, and you're supposed to walk across them in time. Now these ones I'm not going to sync to the music because there are tempo changes in movement 1, so that wouldn't really work. So I can just make that like transparency 6 for the time being or something. How many studs is that though? That's 8. So here's what I need to do. I need to go to this and duplicate this folder, but call it 8 times, or 8x. I don't really know what it means by x. Then just duplicate these parts and just name them the numbers up to 8. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and line them up the way they're supposed to be lined up here as well. Okay, now I need to put this into position. And like I said, I want most of the platforms during this side A to be like not super saturated. These ones though, they will be. They're going to be the same saturated colors as here. Okay, but there were 5 of them before, and here there are 8. I mean, I put the 3 different colors here, but that leaves 1 more. So what should this color be? We'll just make it red again, I guess. So the toggle time is not going to be based on the tempo of the music. It will instead just be what works well given the walk speed. We'll see how well 1 works. Also, go to indicator and turn that off. That way it doesn't look like this, but instead will look like this. So just wait for it to appear right here. And yeah, just like tap D slowly. Okay, so I've built some more parkour here, and another one of these things, and then a temporary truss, which will take you to the part where you go like from side A to side B. There's some signs that explain what's going to happen, but this temporary truss, there will be more parkour that like takes its place later. But it would still lead you to here, and so you climb up this truss, which has these 2 things to reset your walk speed and jump power, and this button, which will deactivate this giant insta-kill here. While just like editing the game, I can have it as transparency 1, but same problem as here. When you run the game, it'll make it transparency 0. So if anyone knows of a way to fix that, please tell me. But yeah, it'll deactivate that for 97 seconds, the length of movement 2. And if you run out of time, it'll reactivate the insta-kill and you die. If you complete the floor in time, then you'll get to this elevator thing. You'll hit this lighting changer, which will set the fog end to 0 and the fog color to black. And so the whole screen will go black. That way it's like kind of a transition thing, like the screen fades to black and then it's not. That way it just doesn't instantly like cut, basically. This is the teleporter. It currently takes you to here where it resets the lighting and says this is the end for the time being. So the things I need to do off camera is still over here, finish side B of Mercury and detail this as well. Over here, I need to detail this and just add more parkour. And I also need to make it so there's actually no way to reset the timer. There technically is a way. If you were to go down here, you could just wait for the timer to reset and then try again, but I'll fix that later. And I also need to add the outside section between the floors, like here, but I'll do that later. But what I will do right now is take the teleporter here. I'm moving its destination. It was the one that was like over there earlier, and set that to where this is, the thing that sets your walk speed to 8 and your jump power to 0 and changes the lighting. It'll teleport you there. But later it'll teleport you to the section after here that'll take you to this. So with that, let's play through the whole floor. Currently what you do is you would get to the end of this side B of Mercury and then we'll just teleport you here. Venus, the bringer of peace. You have a decreased walk speed and no jump for this slow section. So you need to get to this push box spawner and then you need to get the push box to right here so you can go across the gap here. Easy enough. This tells you to use slash each here to get up this ledge. It's a little bit more tricky with the decreased walk speed, but still easy enough. And then you need to like push this hanging platform to do that. Then you go into this cave here, and then you just need to do this correctly. Then you can just do this on the tightrope and go up the truss, and you can exit the cave now, and you got some walkarounds after that. I think this is possible. There we go. Go into climbing animation on the edge of the platform, then go out of shift lock and face this sign. Then press shift and A at the same time. So do this, do that. Evidently, I forgot to recolor that part. I'll do that later. So then you walk up this, you can move the camera like that to help, and then you have this truss walk. Oh, you can do that too. I'll fix that later. Then you have this conveyor, which moves slightly faster than you walk, so just make sure you time that right. Then you would go up this slowly, and you got this temporary truss. Once you climb this truss, you will begin a section that better represents the planet itself. Due to its very dense atmosphere, Venus has very high temperatures and pressures. You'll have 97 seconds to finish the floor, and should you run out of time, your run ends. There's no way to reset the timer, however, buttons and teleporters ahead will activate as you go so that a missed jump won't cost you more than a few seconds. When you're ready, you can climb up the truss, and there you go. Now you're going at normal walk speed and jump power now, but it feels faster than it was a moment ago, because you were going slower a moment ago. You got conveyor launches and stuff. Well, if you fall, that's going to happen. I'm actually not going to use no clip here just to like see how well that works. Okay, maybe I'll use no clip. But yeah, you have this thing several times, so you just got to like time that right. Some of them you got to jump onto the first one like that. Others you don't have to. You avoid the spinning kill bricks here. Well, actually you don't really have to. They don't deal like any damage. That's a fake troll 4-stud stick out thing. Then here you can kind of just like hold W the whole time on these elevators. It was pretty fun to make that. Jump across these, and I should have enough time unless I fail this 40 times. There, and there you go. This is the end for the time being. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing down below. And don't forget to comment on this video some questions for me to answer in the 3,000 subscriber Q&A, or comment those on the community post linked in the pinned comment. So with that, I will see you in the next video, and have a great day.